And so it happened that on a warm, windy evening, I drove to East Egg to see two old friends whom I scarcely knew at all. Their house was even more elaborate than I expected.
Now, don't think my opinion on these matters is final, just because I'm stronger and more of a man than you are. I've got a nice place here. It belonged to Demain and the oil man. We'll go inside.
I'm paralyzed with happiness.
I had stopped off in Chicago for a day on my way east.
Do they miss me?
The whole town is desolate. All the cars have the left rear wheel painted black as a morning wreath, and there's a persistent wail all night along the North Shore.
How gorgeous. Let's go back, Tom. Tomorrow? You ought to see the baby.
I'd like to.
She's asleep. She's 3 years old. Haven't you ever seen her?
Never.
Well, you ought to see her. She's...
What you doing, Nick?
I'm a bond man.
With who?
Bonds, boys.
Never heard of him.
You will. You will if you stay in the East.
Oh, I'll stay in the East. Don't you worry. I'd be a fool to live anywhere else.
Absolutely. I'm stiff. I've been laying on that sofa for as long as I can remember.
Don't look at me. I've been trying to get out to New York all afternoon.
No thanks. I'm absolutely in training.
You are. How you ever get anything done is beyond me.
Hello.
I thought you might be here. I remember you said you live next to...
Hello.
Hello. Sorry you didn't win.
You don't know who we are, but we met you here about a month ago.
You dyed your hair since then? Do you come to these parties often?
The last one I met you at wasn't a pretty seal.
I like to come. I never care what I do, so I always have a good time. When I was here last, I tore my gown on a chair, and he asked me my name and address. Inside a week, I got a package from Couriers with a new evening gown in it.
Did you keep it?
Sure did. I was going to wear it tonight, but it was too big in the bust, and I had to alter. It was gas blue with lavender beads. $265.
There's something funny about a fellow that'll do a thing like that. He doesn't want any trouble with anybody.
Who doesn't?
Gatsby, somebody told me. Somebody told me that they killed a man once.
I don't think it's so much that. It's more that he was a German spy during the war.
I heard that from a man who knew all about him, grew up with him in Germany.
Oh no, it couldn't be that because he was in American Army during the war. You look at him sometimes when he thinks nobody's looking at him. I'll bet he killed a man.
Wait a minute. I want to ask Mr. Gatsby one more question.
Go on.
What kind of row are you trying to cause in my house anyhow?
He isn't causing a row. You're causing a row. Please have a little self-control.
Self-control. I suppose the last thing is to sit back and let Mr. Nobody from Nowhere make love to your wife. Well, if that's the idea, you can count me out. Nowadays, people begin by sneering at family life and family institutions, and next they'll throw everything overboard and have intermarriage between black and white.
We're all white here.
I know I'm not very popular. I don't give big parties. I suppose you've got to make your friends into a pigsty in order to have any friends in the modern world.
I've got to tell you, old sport.
Please don't. Please let us all go home. Why don't we all go home?
That's a good idea. Come on, Tom. Nobody wants a drink.
I want to know what Mr. Gatsby has to tell me.
Your wife doesn't love you. She never loves you. She loves you.
You must be crazy.
She never loved you. Did you hear? She only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting for me. It was a terrible mistake. But in her heart, she never loved anyone except me.
Sit down, Daisy. What's going on? I want to hear all about it.
I told you what's been going on for 5 years, and you didn't know?
You've been seeing this fellow for 5 years?
Not seeing. No, we couldn't meet. Both but both of us loved each other all the time. All that time. Old sport, and you didn't know? I used to laugh sometimes to think that you didn't know.
Oh, that's all? You're crazy. I can't speak about what happened 5 years ago because I didn't know Daisy then. And I'd be damned if I see how you got within a mile of her unless you brought the groceries to the back door. But all the rest of that's a goddamn lie. Daisy loves me, and when she married me, and she loves me now.
No.
She does, though. The trouble is that sometimes she gets foolish ideas in her head and doesn't know what she's doing. And what's more, I love Daisy too. Once in a while I go off on a spree and make a fool of myself, but I always come back. And in my heart, I love her all the time.
You're revolting. Do you know why we left Chicago? I'm surprised that they didn't treat you to the story of that little spree.
Daisy, that's all over now. It doesn't matter anymore. Just tell me the truth that you never loved him, and it's all wiped out forever.
Why? How could I love him? Possibly.
You never loved him.
I never loved him.
Not at Capilana?
No.
Not that day I carried you from the punch bowl to keep your shoes dry, Daisy?
Please don't. There, Jay. Oh, you want too much. I love you now. Isn't that enough? I can't help what's in the past. I did love him once, but I loved you too.
You loved me too?
Even that's a lie. She didn't know you were alive. Why, there are things between Daisy and me that you'll never know. Things that neither of us can ever forget.
I want to speak to Daisy alone. She's all excited now.
Even alone, I can't say I never loved Tom. It wouldn't be true.
Of course it wouldn't.
As if it mattered to you.
Of course it matters. I'm going to take better care of you from now on.
You don't understand. You're not going to take care of her anymore.
I'm not? Why is that?
Daisy's leaving you.
Nonsense.
I am, though.
She's not leaving me. Certainly not for a common swindler who would have to steal the ring he put on her finger.
I won't stand this. Oh, please, let's get out.
Who are you anyhow? You're one of that bunch that hangs around the Meyer Wolfsheim. That much I happen to know. I made a little investigation into your affairs, and I'll carry it further tomorrow.
You can suit yourself about that, old sport.
I found out what your drugstores were. He and his Wolfsheim bought up a lot of side street drugstores here in Chicago and sold grain alcohol over the counter. That's one of his little stunts. I picked him for a bootlegger the first time I saw him, and I wasn't far wrong.
What about it? I guess your friend Walter Chase wasn't too proud to come in on it.
And you just left him in the lurch, didn't you? You let him go to jail for a month over in New Jersey. God, you ought to hear Walter on the subject of you.
He came to us dead broke. He was very glad to pick up some money, old sport.
Don't call me old sport. Walter could have you up on the betting laws too, but Wolfsheim scared him into shutting his mouth. That drugstore business was just small change, but you've got something on now that Walter's afraid to tell me about.
Please, Tom, I can't stand this anymore.
You start on home, Daisy, in Mr. Gatsby's car. Go on. He won't annoy you. I think he realized that his presumptuous little flirtation is over. And so it happened that on a warm, windy evening...